Round 4 is in the books, and this is your Tuesday edition of NBL Now, and I'm delighted to have Brad Rosen join me. Brad, there's a lot to talk about, but we would probably be foolish if we didn't start anywhere else with the South East Melbourne Phoenix. They had a press conference yesterday. Simon Mitchell fronted up to talk through the decision. When the news came out, what was your gut feeling? As everybody has started to say that it seems somewhat inevitable, but where were you and what did go through your mind?
Yeah, Hools, look, good to be here. Number one, the NBL, the gift that just keeps giving. There's never a dull day. We love it. Look, I played against Mike Kelly, one of the nicest bloke, the hard-nosed defender. We all know what he was like, and one of the nicest blokes that you could meet. But the simple answer is I wasn't shocked. When you know, as a coach, you are defined by the win-loss column, and it's the old saying, isn't it? You win, it's the players have done a good job. You lose, it's the coach's fault, right? So it's a tough gig, man. Who wants to be a coach in any sport? But, you know, I feel for Mike Kelly, former coach of the year with Cairns, but I think they had no other choice, South East Melbourne. They needed a change. It needs a direction. Sammy Mac's in. You know, there's a lot of talk about this. All I'm going to say is Illawarra were in a much worse state than South East Melbourne Phoenix were this time last year. They made the change and were a quarter away from a grand final. So I have no doubt that South East Melbourne can get going.
It's interesting you say that because, again, Simon Mitchell referenced that in the press conference today, saying the Illawarra were in the same position last year. And, again, the beauty of a playing tournament now is you just have to turn things around and play your best basketball and try and finish sixth. You don't have to finish top four. But from the South East Melbourne team perspective, and I get they are 0-5, as you said, you're defined by your win-loss record. You and I did the roundtable edition, and we picked apart this roster with 9 new faces, but left it feeling really confident this team could get it together and achieve something. From a playing perspective, where's it all gone wrong so far?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I'm with you. I had them in the 6, and right now I still believe they can make the 6. And I had Sobey as in an all-star 5, all-NBL team, right? So I believe they can get there. It just is one of those things where we've seen it so many times, it's just didn't gel. And really, it looked a little bit like the Perth Wildcats at the beginning of last season. There is so much times that can change. There are so many things. That personnel is good, man. I like them, right? Their imports are great. When you put those 3 imports together and what they're doing, you know, Wiescamp's a little bit up and down, I guess. Hurt is killing it, but I like what they can both bring. And, you know, Derek Walton Jr., proof's in the pudding. That guy was an MVP in a grand final series, right? So he can play. There's no question about that. It just hasn't synced. And I think when I look at what the player has done, you add Sobey into that, you know, Glover, you know, what they bring, it all looks like they're trying to be helpful for each other rather than just playing their own game. Like, you know, Sobes will be, I want you to get it, Derek. And Derek's like, let's get Sobey going. And instead of, I'm going to do what I do and then let the rest play out. That's the challenge for Sammy Mac right now. He's got to say, right, forget what's happened. Don't care. Let's just get going, draw a line in the sand, and let's go. Nothing to lose. And I'm quite excited for the club. I really feel this is, you know, for the supporters, get ready. Let's hope they can do what we all think they can.
Well, Sam Mackinnon does step in as the interim head coach, as the Phoenix have talked about an ongoing search for what could be the next head coach. But as we've seen with Justin Tatum, for example, for the Hawks, being an interim coach is an audition as well. So Sam Mackinnon now has an opportunity to put his hand up. We saw what he did in Brisbane for the small time when he took over there. Do you expect Sammy Mac to make some more changes in terms of rotations and stuff like that when it comes to the throwdown on Sunday? Is that what happens when you step into an interim role with a team that it hasn't worked out currently with the rotations as they've been?
I think the number one thing for Sammy is to coach Sammy's way, right? And that's got to be different to Mike Mitchell. Mike Kelly. Sorry, you can't be the same person, right? So, Sammy, what are you going to bring? What did you learn from Brisbane? You know, I mean, Sammy's one of our best players to ever put a shoe on. So, you know, the Olympics and everything he does, he knows, and he's been around a long time. He sat as assistant coach role, now with South East. Yes, I think he's got to change some things up. I am not a big fan of interim coaches. That's something I worry about, but I understand why you do it now. You don't want to go and sign a guy to a 2 or 3 year deal and then, geez, we've made the wrong decision. But I also think as a playing group, you're like, what are we doing? Where are we heading? Which way is this team going? So for me, I like that decision to be made sooner rather than later. But I understand. Give Sammy that month, whatever it may be. But don't be doing this in January now, because then you've just lost the season, and there's no reason to lose the season. It's 5 games, Hools. We know that. That's nothing in this league.
I'll ask you this then. What makes it salvageable for the season? What would be a pass mark come the end of the season? There's 23 games to go. They've started 0-5. If they fell short of the play-in, Sammy Mack was there the whole year, but just fell short, would you put that as a success, or do they really need to make that charge?
Yeah, I think it would be a success, but I look at it with those 23 games to go, right? So if you can go 14-9, right? Let's just, and really 14-9 is not something you couldn't do, is the right words to say, right? They get that, and they could push for that 14-14. You could be in the playoffs, right? I think you'd get 6th spot. So right now, I wouldn't be worried and going, oh, God, we've got to just tick those wins off. But it's the old saying, I remember, when I was being assistant coach and everything, forget the back, put it in the back pocket, move on. And it's the old cliche, we talk about it all the time. Don't even worry about the scoreboard, right? And, there's a little saying Andre Agassi used to say, when the ball's in front of him, he just hits it back. Right? Doesn't care. Doesn't care about the score. Don't care what's going on. When the ball keeps coming, I'm hitting it back. And when the ball stops coming, then I'll look up and I'll see what the score is. That's what South East Melbourne have got to do. The ball's on the floor, I'm diving. If there's a box out, I'm hitting my man. If there's a shot, I'm taking the open look. When the buzzer goes, look up, I'll guarantee you're winning.
Well, that's my bingo card sorted. Brad Rosen mentioning Andre Agassi on a Tuesday morning. For an analogy, I rate that from you, Brad. That sets up for the throwdown on Sunday. That's the Phoenix next game. And normally when there's a big change in an organisation, whether it's a head coach or something else, a team is fired up. And we'll have to go through the stats. I believe in the track record, especially in recent history, teams do seem to turn it around pretty quickly after a move like a coach moving on. Do you expect that from the throwdown? Do you throw all the recent history out with Melbourne's dominance because of what just occurred?
Absolutely, but man, you do not want to be taken on Melbourne United after what you've just been going through. Give me something a bit better, Sammy Mack, you poor thing. Look, no better test, right? Melbourne are humming. They played really well. They're doing everything. Chris doing CG 43 things. Just congratulations to him, 450 games. What a warrior. The team looked great, and I can tell you they would love nothing better than to tell their crosstown rivals, you're going 0-6. But look, again, I just feel yes. And this is something, as analysts that we are, and I love the coaching side of the sport, I want to see how Sammy prepares them, right? Because they should come with a cricket bat, a baseball bat, and they should be saying to Melbourne United from the tip-off, we are not letting you do this today to us, and we are going to go and get that win. And I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I think it's a huge test. And again, I think when you want to make change, and you've made change in the office, and you're trying to make change on the court, I think that's probably a dream matchup if they can rise to the occasion. So all eyes are going to be on the throwdown on Sunday. A couple of other teams that had a down round and the other one was up and down to the Adelaide 36ers. I want to Cairns because they did lose 2. And Adam Ford says, we're not making excuses. I know we don't have some key personnel, but we've still got enough to get it done. Are we jumping off the Cairns train?
No, not yet. I love 40, and I was there yesterday calling that game. And I love that he says that we're not, going to worry who's not playing. No disrespect, and I love Cairns with all my heart. They're one team that can't afford people to go down. Taron Armstrong was a superstar last weekend. Now, you take any superstar the way he played, and unfortunately the depth is they don't have what other teams have. You take that guy out, that's what happens in 2 games. Now, really, I can't believe they had a shot to tie it against Perth. Perth blew that last few possessions, right? But that's cool. They got away with it and they get the win. But Cairns were really never in both games. And as much as you can say, because they play hard, they did everything they could. It wasn't effort yesterday. It wasn't. They were tired. They were pushing. They did everything they could. They just didn't have the talent when it comes down to the end. And the Kings just knocked it down. Sean Bruce going 6 threes, and they just didn't have the answer. They need their cattle back on the floor.
Yeah, they do, and hopefully Taron Armstrong's available this weekend.
Yeah.
Tanner Groves is out for a little bit more. The other one is the Adelaide 36ers, who put up a mammoth performance on Friday night in front of their home crowd to beat Sydney. and then fell flat on Sunday against against Melbourne United on their home floor. Do you read too much into that loss against Melbourne, or they did look tired, or do you think it was a bad matchup for them?
Yeah, I love that question, Hills. And again, my coaching hat comes out it again, as if to say, here's the challenge now, Adelaide. You have proven to everyone you can win it. Not just like with that team. There's a lot of talk about Trez. Is he staying? Forget that right now, right? Those top 4 players, and they may be bringing another one in as well. So let's go with 5, right, when Jarrell comes back. They are a team good enough to win the championship. What I saw yesterday was not good enough. That's not what you want to do. If you're going to go to game 5 in a series, you can't be good on a Friday and bad on a Sunday, because now you could be blowing your series chances, right? So I am saying this because I respect and love what Adelaide are playing. If it was, a team vying for 6th spot and they did a split, you won at home, you lost on the road, okay. But no, you're better than that now, Adelaide. You are better, and I would have expected them to come out a lot better. But in hindsight, it's not a massive loss.
Well, the Sydney Kings, you saw it firsthand on Sunday, Alex Toohey, and again, the draft buzz around him. I'm going to ask it very simply to you, Bradley. How high can he go?
Geez, I'm going to be the first one to say it. I was not worried, because that's the wrong words. I was just like, is he going to be able to get in that first round? That's where I was at the beginning of this year. Man, all credit goes to him. I know he has been working his butt off to get what he had to do. He went over to America, worked with J-Law, did what he had to do. He can always hit the 3. He can do that. But now on the break, he makes really good decisions. He grabs the ball off the glass. He can move. He can spin. He can get it with the left. He's making good decisions. He's got the pull-up game. He's going, every game I see him is playing better. My answer is he's just going to keep climbing up that. And don't forget, how good was he at the Blitz? And everyone was there watching him. So kudos to that man right there. He is absolutely hooping.
All right, I'm going to put it on record now so we can go back to Tuesday, the 15th of October, where Brad Rosen gave us a over-under in terms of the number that Alex Toohey can reach. Will he be a top 20 pick?
I'm going to say somewhere between 20 to 25.
Okay, I don't mind that. I'm going to go 15 to 20, so that we're around that mark then, Brad.
Okay.
A couple more to go, but we saw it on Thursday night. It was a while ago now. It was Perth's only game. Bryce Cotton greatness was in effect one more time, and he's our regular NBL correspondent. He'll be back on tomorrow with me. I'm looking forward to that. But there's not many better when they get in that mood, and Rob Edwards was chirping him as well, which I'll ask him about.
How good was that? Yeah.
But it's fun to watch when Bryce turns it on.
Oh, man, it's just, you sit there and as purists that we are, you just love to watch that, and I was listening to the calls, and it was great calls, and well done to you over the weekend. But, you sit there and you say to yourself, just sit there and watch the greatness. Don't talk. Don't say anything. Just watch this man play. And I remember when you watch like Michael Jordan, and please, I'm not trying to put, words in anyone.
That's a quote graphic right there.
When you watch Michael Jordan, always in the back of my mind was, I just want him to play forever, because we won't see a player like him again. Then guys like Kobe come, and then we had Andrew Gaze, and then, you look at the, Leroy Loggins, and now with Bryce Cotton, you're just like, Bryce, just go another maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, whatever you want, mate. And it's just such a privilege to watch him play. And what's even better is the fact that he did that when he only scored 5 points the week after. Not, I'm going to have 2 or 3 bad games. All right, I shouldn't say a bad game. Less scoring, we all say, oh, what's wrong with Bryce? Geez, is he injured? What's going on? He had 5 points. Mate, 5 points, I'd be stoked if I came out of a game with 5, but that's a separate issue. But I just love the fact that Bryce just came out and just went whack. And can't believe he missed 5 free throws, or he would have had close to it, if not a 40-piece, right? So, man, he is unbelievable to watch. Perth don't win that game without him, though. That was the problem, but not when you got him.
He's always fun to watch. Can't wait to pick his brain again on NBL Now. Brad, before I let you go, get along with your Tuesday, who are the top 2 teams currently as it stands? In your mind, the top 2 contenders, I think we can rule one out, but the Illawarra Hawks, I think, are there for both of us. I think they're
Yep.
So who is that other team if you had to pick?
Oh, you know what? There's so many that I go with, but right now the 2 that actually there's 3 if I was to say it now. I'll narrow it down to 1. I'm going to go one, but it's going to be Adelaide, Sydney, or Melbourne. They're the three, right? That's where I'm looking at. I'm going to say it. And right now, with what I've seen and the fact that Adelaide beat the Kings on Friday night, I'm putting Adelaide there as the top two.
Okay, I like that. We'll stay tuned with that. Brad, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, mate. Great to have it. Good on you, Hools.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll be back tomorrow with a special episode of NBL Now with our correspondent, Bryce Cotton.